Right, so let's do a calm and collected post-fight review to Oleksandr Usyk versus Tony Bellew. Now, this fight only went 8 rounds, so for those of you who don't know the result, I'll get to it in a bit. So, round number one, I gave to Tony Bellew. I thought that he was landing the better shots and was a little bit more busy. I know that Carl Froch and David Haye had it as a 10-10. For me, I had it as Tony Bellew. I thought that his jab was looking real good. And I think that he just nicked that round. Round number two, again, I gave to Tony Bellew because I felt, again, he was getting confident. I mean, he was even leaning back on the ropes and just smiling. And, he was getting pumped. He was telling Usyk to come on in. And he was catching Usyk with some very, very good straight rights. And Usyk seemed a little bit troubled, especially by some of the body shots. And going forward, if Usyk does move up to heavyweight, I'm sure that a lot of heavyweight, big punchers, especially like Dylan White, who Eddie Hearn is looking to make Oleksandr Usyk versus Dylan White. If Dylan White gets past Derek Chisora in a rematch December 22nd, and if Deontay Wilder gets past Tyson Fury December the 1st and takes on Anthony Joshua on April 13th, well, that's a lot to remember, isn't it? Then Dylan White versus Oleksandr Usyk for Oleksandr Usyk's debut heavyweight. So, yeah, I think body shots might be the way, and Dylan White very, very good at body shots. But anyway, back onto this one. So first 2 rounds for me was Tony Bellew. Round number three, again, I thought that was a pretty clear round for Tony Bellew again. Now, I know some people may argue with, especially the first round, but I certainly had Tony Bellew up at this point by all 3 rounds. Again, I think he just scraped round three, to be fair. I don't think it was a clear one. So again, I'm not going to argue with anybody who had Usyk winning, but for me, I had Tony Bellew up on all 3 rounds, the very first 3 rounds. They were close, no getting out of it, but I felt that Tony Bellew was just nicking it. His jab was good, his movement was good. He didn't go straight the way back. Whenever he'd back off, he'd back off in a circle, which for a southpaw, they don't like that. They like fighters to back off in a straight line so they can catch them. I do feel, though, that Tony Bellew was starting to, especially around number four, was starting to spin in the wrong way, turn in the wrong way. He was turning to his right, but against a southpaw, you should always turn to your left. So the big right-left can't come forward from your opponent. And I think that's where Tony Bellew was starting to maybe get a bit fatigued, and Oleksandr Usyk was starting to get a bit of confidence. But again, I had that at a very, very close round number four, and I could give it to Usyk, but for me, I had it as a draw on that one, potentially anyway. But round number five, that was Oleksandr Usyk. I felt that Oleksandr Usyk was starting to come into it, and Tony Bellew, while he wasn't really tiring at that point, he just seemed to get a little bit lazy at times. And was it at the end of round number five when the bell went, Bellew dropped his hands and he got hit after the bell, and it looked like Bellew wobbled a bit. And I don't know whether that was the pivotal point that kind of, I don't know what changed the rest of the fight. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know how badly hurt Tony Bellew was. He didn't say it in the post-fight interview there with Sky Sports. But anyway, I gave that to Oleksandr Usyk anyway. And round number six, again, was an Usyk. And this one was really where Tony Bellew, I felt, was starting to tire. And at this point, for the first time in a fight, I was starting to think, I think Usyk could actually win this one. Now, I was picking Oleksandr Usyk to win on points or Tony Bellew by knockout. And so even at this point, Tony Bellew's already exceeded my expectations, because I expected Oleksandr Usyk to pretty much dominate Tony Bellew and potentially drop Bellew with some body shots or some hooks, and Bellew would get up again and go potentially like the full distance, but maybe catch Usyk with a big left hook. But to be honest, Bellew wasn't really throwing the left hook too much, which is kind of strange for me, because that's one of his most dangerous weapons. Maybe he would just find it difficult to land it on Usyk. And for me, I felt that Usyk was really starting to come alive at this point. And then we're going to round number seven. And again, Usyk is really, really stepping on the gas now. He's just coming forward. Tony Bellew, he's starting to breathe heavy, which I don't know if I should be surprised, But in some ways, I kind of am, because when he went to heavyweight to take on David Haye, he said that from round number 3, he was starting to gas against David Haye because he wasn't used to the weight, the extra weight. So I thought, okay, well, maybe coming back down to cruiserweight, he's going to get a bit more energy in him. But maybe it kind of done the opposite. Maybe it was the whole occasion. Maybe it was the fact that Oleksandr Usyk is just skillful. His foot movement is absolutely phenomenal. And while Usyk was getting hit with some pretty clean shots at times, it's got to be a little bit heartbreaking when you're Tony Bellew and you're hitting him with shots that you've seen opponents go down with. I mean, some of the shots that landed on Usyk were the same shot that like, took out Makabu, you know. So maybe Bellew was starting to lose a little bit of heart in this one, or maybe the tactics was a case of, you know what, I'm going to take a couple of rounds off here, get my energy back, and make Usyk tire a bit. But Usyk, I mean, I've never really seen him really gas out before. I think the only times that he was kind of really in trouble going into like later rounds was probably against Bradis in the World Boxing Super Series semi-final. So I'm not too sure if that was his tactic, but I remember Dave Caldwell shouting at Tony Bellew, focus, stay focused, as in stop messing about. Don't get overconfident. You need to stay focused. And I don't quite know what happened, but it gets into like round number 8, and already I'm thinking that the writing's on the wall that maybe Usyk could actually stop Bellew, which is pretty much against what a lot of people were picking. A lot of people were picking, just like I was, Usyk on points or Bellew by knockout, with Usyk on points being the favourite. But something happened and Bellew got hit with a shot, and his legs seemed to almost, I don't want to say wobble, but they certainly did some kind of weird movement, and his hands dropped a little bit, and Usyk just caught him with a big left, and Bellew went down hard with his head on, well, the back of his neck on the very bottom rope. And at that point, we knew he weren't getting up, because the way that he fell and the way that he was lying there, I mean, to be honest, I'm surprised he even moved. I thought he was out when he went down, but clearly badly hurt. When he kind of got up on his knee, arm on the rope to maybe potentially get up, it was a case of, nah, I can't get up, and the referee stopped it when he counted to number 7 or number 8, so it didn't really give Bellew a chance to stand up at 8 to beat the count. But even if he had, I think Usyk would have finished him off anyway. But anyway, so Oleksandr Usyk beats Tony Bellew by vicious knockout in round number 8, and Tony Bellew has nothing to be ashamed of. Will he quit now? Who knows? I mean, I fully expect him to take a few days off, obviously speak to his wife, his kids, his loved ones, Eddie Hearn, to see what it is that can be done now. Because Tony Bellew is a proud man. He won't want to go out on a loss, but he wanted the fight beaten out of him, so he didn't want to return anymore, but ultimately not lose it. But because he got stopped, is it a case of Bellew may actually carry on now? Don't know. What's going to happen with Oleksandr Usyk? Well, there's a very good chance he could move up to heavyweight now. Because I can't see any kind of challenges for him at cruiserweight at all. So for me, I imagine it's going to be a case of move up to heavyweight, maybe take on the Dylan White, if Dylan White's going to be successful over Derek Chisora, which, to be honest, I fully expect him to be. So, yeah. Good performance from Tony Bellew. It just ended how boxing matches end, you know. I mean, any kind of heavyweight divisions, one punch changes everything, and that's pretty much what happened. As I said, I had Tony Bellew winning the fight by a round, maybe 2 rounds or whatever it was, up until the stoppage. So, you know what? Bellew did well. He did very, very well. He did something that a lot of people didn't think he was going to do, which is, first of all, take the fight. Second of all, be winning the fight. Because a lot of people expected Usyk to dominate him. I certainly expected him to dominate him. But ultimately, listen, it is what it is. I'm proud of Bellew. I'm very, very proud of him. I feel he turned up and he came to win. He believed he was going to win. Just that the skill and the boxing brain of Oleksandr Usyk is phenomenal. Let's be honest. And the foot movement and the way that he comes forward as well. He's got a very, very stinging left jab. Or sorry, right jab, because he's a southpaw. Which stings, but it's not concussive. It doesn't hurt you too much, but it's enough to get your opponent to think, hang on a minute, what the hell? I don't want like too many of those. And I think that's pretty much what the telling point was. I mean, Tony Bellew was starting to scrap, and I don't know whether that was kind of maybe the beginning of the end. Maybe he overexerted himself. I really don't know, to be honest. And obviously Tony Bellew's going to be gutted. I know us UK fans are gutted, but the Ukrainians and whatever are going to be absolutely thrilled. So congratulations to Oleksandr Usyk on a very, very good victory. So anyway, that's my thoughts. You drop me yours, click that thumbs up, and of course subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.